Welcome. My goal is to share stories of brave moves that CEOs, leaders, and business owners are making right now. 1 minute story, one leader. And with me today, I have Heather Hubbard. She's a motivational speaker and author. And I'm excited to have her here today to talk a little bit more about what is helping her be braver right now. Welcome, Heather.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So talk to me about what is helping you be braver right now.
For me, it's always an ongoing practice, and it is really making sure I'm always aligned with my truest and highest vision and making sure that I am getting uncomfortable every single day.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's moving through the discomfort that gives you the courage.
Mm-hmm. And so talk to me a little bit about courage. So you're working on some important work around simple courage. Talk to me about what that is.
Yeah, so most of my life, I showed up with what I call false courage, which is basically you're afraid and you show up as brave, but you're doing it for others, not yourself. And you're doing it to get the approval of others and maybe showing up in a way that's not authentic to yourself. So for me, false courage is what I have always relied on. There's like a lot of armor related to that. And learning to show up with simple courage is living a life true to yourself. So how do you show up and make decisions not based on autopilot or what you've been told or what society expects of you, or what in many ways, just feels really hard because it almost feels life and death to think that we might be ostracized or not accepted. And so that's what simple courage is all about. It's not easy, but it is simple. And the simple piece is it's just about being a little bit uncomfortable each and every day and embracing who you are. And sometimes we have to figure out what that is. We're like, I don't even know who I am. I've been showing up with so much false courage my whole life. I don't even know who I am.
Yeah. And I think so when I think about simple courage and I think about showing up, what are some of those mindsets, behaviors, or even habits that you lean into that are really important to you that help you show up that way?
So one thing that I try to look for is I really adopt this mindfulness principle of being non-judgmentally aware and trying to be really curious about anything and everything in life. And mostly my thoughts, right? And my actions and my behaviors. And so anytime I have a thought of, oh, I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or that's not appropriate, what that does for me is it like raises a flag that says, well, that's probably something to look at. Because that's probably where I am doing something that's not true to who I am or what I want, because I think it's how I have to show up. And so if I look at that and then I say, well, what if I did do that? What if I did say that? And if it makes me tense up, I know I have an opportunity to practice courage.
I love that. And I love, so you're going through a bit of a transformation yourself right now. And when I
Yep.
think about being brave and making bold moves, especially during a really unusual time, and when I think about that, I'd love to hear more about the transformation that you are undergoing right now as well.
Yeah. So, I was in what we call big law. I was a partner, a manager in one of the largest law firms, and I left that to start my own company to be doing this work in the fall of 2014. And it was one of the scariest things that I had ever done. And I'm in a transition right now where I kind of feel the exact same way. And it's really interesting to go through that again. But simple courage has been on my heart, and it's been part of what I've been practicing for many years. But the idea came to me to write the book, to have the keynote, to do this work, to share the message back in 2015. And 5 years later, it's still a Post-it note in front of me. Now, I've been working on the keynote and I give the keynote, people hire me for the keynote, but I'm still not doing the book. I've still not shifted fully there because I have a million different excuses and reasons. And I'm just at a point where, my heart, my soul, my truth is that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And, how can you talk about courage if you're not willing to actually do what you fear most?
Mhm.
And so I'm totally changing my focus. I have a hugely successful podcast that I am ending in order to start a new one. And it's scary, but it's also liberating. The idea that I'm finally going to do and say the thing that has been on my heart there, because I know what it's like to actually practice courage, right? Which is when you get to the other side, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Why did I wait so long?
Yes.
But even though you know that, it doesn't change the fact that you still have all the feelings and emotions. And so it's, we're in a pandemic where the economy is a mess, and just the world is a mess. And so the message is needed now more than ever. And yet, from a business perspective, from a financial perspective, throwing away what is super successful for you to start something else, it's, it's risky, which is part of why courage is required.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, so when I think about courage on stage gives people permission to have courage in the audience. And you making these bold transformational moves. And I can't wait to hear that to not just hear that as you keynote speak, because you're a fabulous speaker, but also in your story, in your forthcoming book around simple courage. I know that it will give others permission to do the same and inspire others to take that step to move forward. Bravery plus leadership creates a competitive advantage for so many leaders that are willing to take the risk. And I see you do that in so many different ways. And for you to pause and say, okay, I am successful. Now I'm going to move away and do something that's really pulling at my heart, that's really important to me right now. I think couldn't be any more of a bolder move. And I just applaud you for it. And please know that I'll be cheering you on as you move into that in transition as well.
Thank you. And I know you will, because I know the work that you do, and it's so needed. Like all leaders, all companies, all corporate, like it is so, we need bravery so much. It's the only thing that's going to, I think, actually move us forward and heal the world, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your story and some moves that you're making to be braver right now as well. So thank you, Heather.
Thank you.